Hey y'all, happy Tuesday. Happy Spoken Word Tuesday. I hope you guys' days come along fine. Anyway, you guys know on Tuesdays, I like to bring the word. And earlier I read my short from Seal Portion, chapter 19, verse 35. One of the final testaments of Christ reads as follows. And we have been commanded to do good in all situations and love our enemies as well as our friends. And it is easy to love our friends, for even the most evil among us love their friends and hate their enemies. You guys, per the Father, we have all been commanded to do good in all situations. It's easy for us to love those who loves us back, but what about those who hate us? The most evil among us will do good to their friends and yet hate their enemies, right? All right, you guys. So last week I ended with maybe verse 33, but I'm going to begin with 32 to continue this chapter 19. And of course, I'm going to read the header again. And it reads as follows. Adam explains in plainness the law of the gospel and the commandments of Jesus Christ. Love your neighbor as yourself. He explains the sacredness and importance of fidelity in marriage. And like I said, I told you guys, this chapter is a long chapter. I think ending with like 90 verses. So therefore, I had to do it, in week after week after week. Okay. So like I say, last week I more than likely probably ended on verse 33, but I'm going to begin at 32. Okay. All right, verse 32 reads as follows. And the Lord had commanded us, saying, Behold, I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them who despitefully use you and persecute you, that ye may be the children of your Father who is in heaven. Now, this commandment which he had given unto us cannot be given with any more plainness than that which the Lord had spoken. Behold, we are commanded to love each other in spite of what might be done unto us. For are we not all brothers and sisters of the same Father who had created us? Again, let me say it again. For are we not all brothers and sisters who belong to the same Father who had created us? And do it not the Father love each of us the same? Yeah. I know that the Father loveth each of us the same, for he is no respecter of persons, and loveth the sinner like unto the prophet. And he loveth Satan as he loveth each of us. For behold, Satan was our brother in the beginning. Of course, Satan was our brother in the beginning, but he was part of the fallen angels, convinced all of the fallen angels, to rebel against the Father, so they was, kicked out of heaven, in which they could never go back to heaven now. And they're right now, they're chained in the abyss, all right? And they will be released for 1,000 years, but right now they're chained until that final season come along, the millennium. Verse 35, and we have been commanded to do good in all situations and love our enemies as well as our friends. And it is easy to love our friends, for even the most evil among us love their friends and hate their enemies. That was my short I read earlier, right? So of course, right, we all have been commanded to love everyone, right? To do good in all situations, right? Although we love our friends, but what about those who hate us? We have to love all in all situations, okay? What good is it for us to love those who love us back, but hate our enemies, right? Even the most evil among us will love and do good to their friends and yet do evil to their enemies. So that love is still in vain. Verse 36, but a sure judge of the righteousness of a man or a woman is not in how they love their friends, but in how they love and treat their enemies. And if there are any among you who hate another, then what reward have ye when ye love your friends? For ye should be loved also by your friends, and this is your reward. But when ye love your enemies, then they will not return unto you this love, but your reward will be given unto you by God. So although those enemies may hate you, when you show you love, you're not going to get, don't be congratulating everything for your enemies, because of course, they're not going to show you that love. But if you show that love, right, you're actually following what the Father commanded you. So therefore you will receive your reward from God and not your enemy. Okay. So therefore you just overlook them, right? And live by the commandments, right? So you don't have to worry about, having damage done to you, by the Father, but being rewarded, okay? Because you love those same enemies that hated you. Verse 37. And now, my beloved children, I would that ye should understand that this flesh meaneth nothing before God, but that which is the flesh is of God. Again. And now, my beloved brethren, or beloved children, I would that ye understood that this flesh meaneth nothing before God, but that which is in the flesh is of God. And one more time, okay, because it's a little bit tongue twisted with that one. And now, my beloved children, I would that ye should understand that this flesh meaneth nothing before God, but that which is in the flesh is of God. Okay, so I hope you guys understood that. And if ye lose this flesh by obeying the commandments of God, then by losing this flesh, ye shall be received by God. But if ye keep this flesh because ye have disobeyed the commandments of God, then ye will not be received by God, but will be received the rewards of the flesh, which rewards are contrary to the happiness of God. Okay, verse 38. And I know that when my son Cain confronted his brother Abel in the field, his brother did not become angry with him, nor did he fight back to save his life. But in his final words, he blessed his brother Cain and forgave him for that which he was about to do to him. And my son Abel was received by God and given a just reward. Right? So I know you guys, a lot of people say, I'm not finna, it's eye for an eye. Okay, sometimes it is eye for an eye, but okay, we had to be careful on how we judging that eye for an eye, okay? Because the same thing he's saying, even though Cain killed his brother, Abel, I read about that, Abel was angry with him, right? He did bless him and everything, okay? But, once Cain killed his brother, Cain, who's become the vagabond, right? And the earth was cursed because of the righteous blood of Abel, okay? Verse 39, and Cain had received a just recompense for that which he had done, and his reward was that of the flesh, which flesh became his curse and caused him to lose the happiness that he could have enjoyed among us if he would have obeyed the commandments of God. So, when we get mad and go, take a vengeance and not allow the Father to take a vengeance, and be irrational in that moment, of excitement, right? We do things, that we can never change, right? And because we couldn't control our emotion at that time, we might have killed somebody or hurt somebody badly, right? And now you got to suffer the consequences. But if you just probably, just looked over and forgave them, right? Not let them get to you, right? Mind of a matter, right? Controlling your emotions balances everything. Then you would have continued to live in happiness, while that very person who provoked you would have been living in pain. All right. Verse 40, and if your neighbor riseth up against you to take your life, trust in the commandments of God and bless your neighbor and do not fight against him. And if ye will do this, ye shall be received by God. And if you defend yourself and take up arms against your neighbor, then ye shall gain the reward of the flesh. And this reward shall be the continual hatred and anger that should exist among you for many generations. And there shall be no peace among you. So what it's saying, okay, now the brother or sister may come against you, right? Your neighbor, but he's telling you don't fight against them, right? Because if you don't fight against them, then you'll be received by God. You'll receive your just reward from our Father, right? But if you defend yourself and take up arms against your neighbor, what happens, right? There's a continual hatred, right, of anger, that will exist between you and your family, generation to generation, and there will never be no peace, because that little child that watch what happened, he's gonna grow up and want to kill that person, and it's gonna continue to go on from generation to generation. Verse 41, and I ask of you, is it not better that ye die without anger at the hand of your enemy and be received by God, than it is to be slain in anger in a war against him? For in one instance ye should die in righteousness, and in the other ye should die in your sins. And if ye believe that by your strength ye can slay your enemy before they slay you, then ye are preparing a way whereby the war that ye have caused shall be the means of slaying many of your sons and daughters by the hands of the sons and daughters of the enemy that ye have slain. You see, so it go on and on. You go kill that person, that child, and watch you go kill that enemy, and then that enemy child, wait till he go kill, that that family, of that person, and it just keep going and going for generation after generation. Though there's no peace, right? There's only war and anger and hatred among your family for generation to generation, because one will not allow their pride to, befall them and look over. Instead, they allowed their emotions to get over them, and they had to go avenge themselves instead of allow the Father to avenge you. What is better, to die, without being killed, trying to avenge yourself, or to die, by the hands of your enemy and just praying for them and blessing, right? That's a question you ask yourself. Now, I know it takes, a lot of courage to do that, right? But in the end, you will be received by God and receive a just reward, instead of turning over your grave, knowing that your family will never have peace because they are avenging you from generation to generation. Verse 42. And if ye have hate towards another, ye shall not experience the state of happiness with the Father that he had promised you after ye are dead. For ye will be in the spirit world with those whom ye have hated. And in that world ye have not have the flesh that ye have at this time. And without this flesh, what cause can ye give unto your anger for another? And your anger shall cause you to remain in a state of misery. And without the flesh, you will be unable to set upon this anger. So he said it's the same thing of being tormented, right? When you die in your sin, it's just a tormentation forever and ever and ever. And you be in that same tormentation in that spirit world with those who you hate. So all of you guys are experiencing this tormentation forever without no flesh. So therefore, you can't even act upon the anger, right? You only can feel and be humiliated and tortured over and over again, receiving all that you did to that person and what that person did to you. You guys both in that spirit world forever being tormented, right? And you won't even be able to act upon that anger. Verse 43. And ye shall see all of your brothers and sisters and realize that we all share the same eternal parents. And ye shall realize that ye have disobeyed the commandments that the Father hath given unto you concerning the way that ye should act towards each other. And do ye think that ye can exist in a state of happiness knowing these things? Of course you can't exist in a state of happiness, right? Because if you also always avenge somebody or allow your emotions to take control of you, there is no way you can live in a state of happiness, right? But if you forgive that brother or sister and overlook it and be like, I'm not finna allow you, to make me participate in contention against myself from you. If you overlook it, then that person is going to remain in a state of anger and vengeance, but you will be happy because you done walked away. And you know what? It takes two, okay? So now you will have the opportunity to live in a state of happiness because you didn't act immediately on that, on that anger or what that brother does to you, or you didn't try to avenge yourself, right? But you forgave that person, looked over and walked away. So therefore you remain your peace, while the other remain in a state of anger and just, a state of turmoil, in a state of unhappiness. Verse 44. Therefore hath the Lord given unto us these commandments, that we might live together in peace and harmony, one with another, enjoying the wonderful blessings that the Father had provided for us as his children in his eternal works, in his eternal worlds. And if we do not learn these commandments, and we are not able to abide by them forever, then we will not be able to dwell in his kingdom. For he allowed none who do not obey his commandments to enter therein. So even though a lot of people let their mind play tricks on them, thinking that, I read but not practice, right? What is it good to learn the word and don't practice the word, right? Many have say, they speak it with their mouth, but their heart is far from it, okay? So just know that, if we don't learn and obey these commandments, we can't, and abide by them forever, then we would not be able to dwell in his kingdom. For he allowed none who do not obey his commandments to enter therein. So if you think that you will obey this commandment and overlooking that one, you a hypocrite, right? And just like when he come back, they gonna be like, oh God, I helped the needy, I did this. He gonna be like, get away from me, Satan or Judas, right? You didn't. He gonna look at you as a hypocrite. So all that you're doing in vain, right? Because you refuse to love your brother, love your enemy, and do good in all situations, right? And obey the Father's commandments, okay? Verse 46, and he had commanded us, saying, verily, verily, I say unto you, that ye judge not, that ye be not judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again. So he's saying, he commands us, we don't judge, because if you judge, then you got to be judged. And whatever measure you judge by, you will be judged by, okay? Right? And in whatever measure you meet, it should be measured to you again. All right? So it's a recurring thing over and over again. So if you see now, if you are righteous, then there's no reason for you to judge, right? Because you know right from wrong, you know even from good. But those who are not, they try to judge, knowing that their life, is sinful as ever. Verse 47. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in the eye of thy brother, but consider not the beam that is in thine own eye? Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, let me pull the mote out of thine eye, and behold, a beam is in his own eye? Thou hypocrite, first cast the beam out of thy own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast the mote out of thy own brother, right? Out of the eye of their own brother, okay? So he's saying that, why would you have the nerves, right? To call your brother out, and to call the mote that your brother have in his eye, right? But consider not the beam in your own eye. Like, who do you think you are, okay? Or how will you have the nerve to say to your brother, let me pull this mote out of your eye, and behold, the beam is in your own eye. Yes, you are a hypocrite. Put a word, right? And the Father saying, first cast that beam out of your own eye, and then you will be able to clearly, cast the mote out of the eye of your brother, right? But if you have not examined yourself and cast the beam out your own eye, you have no means to go and try to cast the beam out of your brother's eye, right? Because that would be a hypocrite, a great, huge hypocrite, okay? Verse 49. Now, this doeth not mean that the Lord do not want us to discern between good and evil, and choose the good over the evil and cling to it. But who among us has the right to determine what is good and what is evil? For unto some, what is evil might be good unto others, and to others, what is evil might be good unto someone. Therefore, if we must judge the actions of others, we must make a righteous judgment. But I say unto you, my dear children, that it is better that ye do not judge at all, but leave all judgment to our Father, who had created us all, and had given us our free agency to choose for ourselves that which is good and that which is evil. And he loveth all of his children, whether their actions be good or whether they be evil. He loveth them the same. All right, you guys, so I ended at verse 50, and I will continue, the next verse next week, okay? But be careful, you guys, to not try to come and tell your brother and sister, and try to make them feel some kind of way, but you also doing the same thing, right? And you telling them something, but you got that same beam in your own eye, right? That's a hypocrite. Don't try to go judge your brother if you can't judge your brother, or judge yourself first, right? Don't try to, go tell your brother to remove the mote out his eye when you can't remove the mote out your own eye, because if you got that mote in your eye, that even in your eye, how would you rightfully judge your brother and sister? That's impossible. You would be considered a hypocrite, right? That's why the Father said, he said to his children, it's better that we judge not at all. Leave all judgment to the Father who had created us. And the Father has also given us free agency to choose for ourselves, which is good and evil, okay? The Father loved all our children, and he loved us all the same, okay? So keep that in mind. Leave all judgment up to the Father, and again, love your enemies just like you love those who love you. And although your enemy may not love you back, but in the end, you still receive that just reward, okay? You don't want to end up in the spirit world. Experiencing, being tormented day and night, in the spirit world, because you can't act upon that anger because you won't be a flesh no more, but a spirit. Just like God is spirit. Just like the Messiah is spirit until he come back. All right, you guys. Happy Tuesday. Love you guys. Peace.